Hello. What I was saying is thank you, all of you, for your stories. So one question would be, I mean, I'm a freediver myself, so I recognize a lot of the reflections and the mirror effect, etc. But maybe because I understand there are a lot of non-freedivers here or new freedivers, what would be the best advice for starting out your journey if you're a bit lost in the beginning? I know I was until I got under the summer from someone. So yeah.
Awesome, thank you. All right, I'm gonna answer this one. There you go, Alice.
Find a good quarry.
Is that a warm one? A warm quarry?
Like in Mexico.
You did quarry.
No, but I guess that was what I was going to say. All the best people starting with quarries.
Yeah.
Take a course with a reputable, qualified person. Do you want to add?
Yeah, there's loads of choice now. Like 15 years ago, I had to look really hard to find a course, but now like there's a lot of options. There's probably 4 clubs running around London, maybe. I mean, you guys are obviously the best one. Shout out to you.
At your UK, at your Rev, OTAX.
Yeah, there's a lot of choice around London, but definitely there's only so far you can go kind of swimming on your own. I did years of it. I used to live in Spain when I was 20, 21, and I did years of just doing all the things you're not supposed to do, diving on your own and stuff. And there's only so far you can get. So spending time with an instructor, someone who knows what they're doing, is invaluable. And then once you've got that first course, don't rush through doing another course. Don't work your way up that education ladder too fast. Spend time after that first course just exploring it. Because once you've done that first course, you're then in the world of freediving. You can come and train with anyone because they know you've done a course. They know that you can rescue them. So spend some time after that diving for yourself. Get a good coach. Come out to Dartford and do coaching with me. Plug. But yeah, definitely formalise learning. The industry's like, we've got a framework now. And yeah, take advantage. Find yourself a course. Somewhere warm if you can. But all the best people start in quarries, Yeah. Cool.
I'm going to tackle to the end of that quickly as well. It's okay.
We did hire 6 mics, but only 2 of them seem to be working. Yeah, just to add to that as well, I sort of mentioned it in my opening talk. The thing about freediving for me is that if you're in a lovely country, nice clear conditions, you can go snorkeling and you can look down 5-6 meters and go, oh, okay, I'll give that a go. If it's a bit deeper, it's that thing of, like I was saying, you wouldn't strap a parachute on your back or a scuba tank on your back and just go and give it a go. The thing with freediving is it is easier to just go and give it a go because it's more accessible. But like the guys were saying, do a course because there are still the dangers, but if you have the understanding, the knowledge and the safety, then you'll be safe and you can really enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah, just to add on to that, I think freediving to its credit, or the freediving community to its credit, really appreciated early on the value of organised training, qualifying up instructors, and really having a good network of education. And as Louisa said earlier on in her talk, safety and ability to safety and rescue a diver who's in trouble underwater is something you learn on day 1 of freediving school. It's not something that you need to go off and do an advanced professional safety course. It's something that all freedivers know and understand, how to look for risky situations, risk assess, and help people who are in a situation that they don't want to be in. So yeah. Okay. Next question. Oh, I've got 2 over here, 3. Yellow shirt, Dutch. Hello.
Hey, so question for Gary. How does it feel to wear a shirt for the first time in your life? And go for it, Gary.
Yeah, normally I'm in a baggy vest and shorts and flip-flops. Yeah, I scrub up well, don't I?
You do scrub up well. Proper freediving question. So I think this is a question for all of you. Like, I would love to know the way that you kind of go through the process of contractions. So in depth at the moment, I haven't gone that deep yet where contractions have become an issue, but with pool diving, I do feel that I've come to a level where if I have a really good rhythm on a day or like a given session, the contractions, I can ride it out pretty well. But on certain days, they're an absolute bitch. So I would love to like go through each one of you and see how in depth or in pool training you guys kind of cope with contractions. Is there certain techniques that you have that help you to kind of go and really focus on what you're doing?
Is it worth just clarifying quickly what contractions are?
Absolutely. So for the non-free divers, we've got a cycle of sort of chemicals, molecules going in and out of us. We breathe in oxygen and we breathe out CO2. So our body is always producing CO2. And that's the purpose of breathing, is to breathe out that CO2. It's a waste product. It's like the exhaust on your car, kind of. Obviously, we're holding our breath when we free dive, so we're not exhaling that CO2. But we're still producing it because we're alive. We're still burning through oxygen, burning our fuel, producing a waste product, but we're not exhaling it. So that level of carbon dioxide starts to raise, inside us. And when it gets to a certain level, it sends you a signal. Your body is basically trying to make you breathe. And the way it does that, all the muscles that are involved in breathing, diaphragm in particular, starts to involuntarily just contract. They start off like little wobbles, little waves. It's like nothing. But obviously, we want to free dive a bit deeper. We want to keep swimming a bit longer. So those contractions get a bit more frequent and a bit more powerful. And that's what Darcy's talking about, the contractions. It's one of the biggest things that we have to deal with, because it's like the foundation. Once these contractions begin, you start to feel uncomfortable. You start to feel uncomfortable, your heart rate starts to raise. The dive gets not as nice as it was before the contractions. So it's this endless sort of balancing act we're playing, isn't it? Where contractions are a part of life. And yeah, without getting too massively technical about it, we have to find ways to manage them. So I think I mentioned in my talk, like part of it is learning to trust your body and learning to accept that they're a part of life. And it's also, maybe you could refer it to sort of hard times in life. Hard times are a fact of life. It's like some days are going to be a bit bad and some days are going to be great. But accepting that the contractions in particular are just something that your body is doing to try and help you out. Same like you could compare it to bad things. Actually, when you come through them, you come out stronger. Everything happens for a reason. It's how you choose to deal with it. So I think there's a big mental aspect. We can talk about really technical stuff if you want. But obviously, pool training is a massive one for the technicalities of learning how to deal with high CO2. I spent hours in pools exposing myself to higher levels of CO2 as part of the training, so that I can learn how to manage them there. I mean, Alice, you've done loads of pool work.
Yeah. One of the things that I would say is acknowledge them, but don't engage in them. Like as soon as you start thinking like, oh my God, I'm having contractions, like there's as much a mental aspect to it still as there is the physical. And if you start focusing on it, I guarantee that they'll come more. And the other thing I'd say is like, you don't have to be in that point all of the time. Like it's a lot of stress on your nervous system to be putting yourself through contractions all of the time. And then your body kind of like remembers that, and I'm sure that they come sooner and quicker sometimes. So it's just making sure you have a good balance in the training that you're doing. It's not all CO2 training. It's not always like hard all of the time. And yeah, the mental aspect of it is kind of like easing into it, and like, yeah, like, there's things in freediving that help us in life, and then life, we go through challenging times. It's kind of just sometimes we have to sit with those things. Yeah, hopefully that's helpful. Anyone else?
A couple of quick points. I think it's also quite useful to remember that if you're tired
your contractions are far more likely to come on earlier if you're cold, if you've eaten a large amount of food that's still in your stomach. And by knowing those things, it's much easier to go, oh, okay, that explains it. And as a result, you relax more, it becomes easier. When it comes to depth, I have a little thing I use when I'm beginning of the season, when I'm doing long hangs at the start of my dive sessions. And without it being too woo-woo, I kind of imagine that I am in the womb. Sounds a bit weird. And the dive line that I'm holding on to is the umbilical cord. And when I start feeling contractions, I just imagine that they are going through me, that they're not actually my contractions. It sounds a bit weird because they are my contractions. However, it lets me let go of them far faster. And they're far less aggressive. And so when I have them on dives, they're much lighter. You know, I've conditioned myself to make less of a mental big thing about them, so they're easier.
I don't know if I've got anything too different to say, but it's a little bit what I touched on when I was talking about this sort of neutrality and the acceptance. It's information. Your body's telling you something, and also as Helena was touching on, why are they coming earlier on that day? What's going on with you? So it's understanding a little bit that, and it's the process of, especially with pool, it's the process of doing it again and again and again and again, and then understanding, is this something that's going on in my head? For me, when I do static, which is not my favourite thing, it's almost like I can make them come because I'm waiting for them, and then I can do a dive in depth which would be way longer, and they don't come at all. So I know that this is a mental thing for me, but also going, okay, this is information that my body's giving me, and I can be neutral about what that, I don't have to go, oh, shit, got to get to the surface, got to breathe again. It's like, okay, this is happening. I can soften into it. I can soften mentally around it as well and go, everything's still fine. But again, if it's because I'm tired or because, it's just not a great day, then, okay, why is this happening earlier than normal? Then we can work something out for that. Okay. I don't think I've said anything different to anyone else, just different words. It was great. Thanks.
What's your accent?
Yes.
First of all, just want to say thank you very much for sharing all your stories and your, it's been amazing. But a sensible question, probably something I could easily Google, but it feels like a good question to ask you, Louisa. I know you've all said at some point this evening, freediving's got lots to offer everyone. But, safety first, what underlying health conditions that might exist in a person would you suggest strongly to not freedive?
Okay, we're getting medical.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's maybe outside of the safety remit, but as an instructor, before you do a beginner course or any course actually, or just training with someone, you're going to fill in your medical statement. So that's your first that gives us the opportunity to kind of catch people who would be really not in good shape for freediving. Beyond that, going down, it's the particularly the ADA form. I don't know about other schools that I teach ADA. It is a good catch-all. It is going through everything that would be an obvious thing that would be kind of, no, you need to check this out with a physician. I know anyone can freedive if they're healthy. I don't think that I don't know if I'm answering the question here, I don't think there's something, if you get everything's good on that form and you say no to everything, you can freedive.
I mean, just for example, I have asthma, but it flares up at different times of the year.
So you need, I don't know if that's allergy related or if it's exertion related, but that's something that you would check out with a physician first of all. Anecdotally, I could say that it can be really helpful to people with asthma, with a history of asthma, to freedive. I don't know if you guys can speak to that a little bit. Gary's personal experience and Helena as a breath coach. So I just
Thank you.
I had asthma as a kid. I think I had pneumonia when I was 3, maybe something like that. I was really sick when I was a kid, intensive care job, and then that gave me asthma for my sort of early life. And it was probably only up until about 5 or 6 years ago where I stopped travelling with my inhalers. I mean, the last few years of that, I didn't use them, but I never wanted to be stranded somewhere and need one. And, you know, maybe it coincided with age, or maybe it coincided with the start of freediving. You know, I got this hobby that I was doing all the time that was focused on how you breathe. And it coincided perfectly with asthma, just as a thing of my past. I don't own an inhaler now. I don't know where my old ones are. I've probably thrown them all away. So I had asthma, it was quite bad. Still in my 20s, into my 30s, I would still have the odd attack. I either grew out of it or freediving cured it.
So I was going to say,
Yeah.
so that's your statement.
Yeah.
Freediving cured asthma.
Yeah, so quote me on that. Yeah. Quote me on that. But I think that's an area where there needs to be research in it.
Yeah,
but it's not a quick fix. People traditionally we want, give me the pill, fix the problem. But yeah, for a longer term fix, focusing on something where you're working on your breath. Also, freediving just helped me clean up my lifestyle a bit. You know, watch my diet, stay in fitter shape, which all helps with asthma. Yeah.
Thank you.
Should we get this side of it first?
We've neglected this side.
Neglected this side. We'll come back. Sorry, I'm looking at
Thanks. Question. I'm trying to train myself for static, and I don't have any issues with dynamic apnea. I can swim 2 pools without any problems, without contractions, and I'm not getting tired. I can hold my breath when I'm just laying in bed, fully relaxed, but once I'm in the water and trying to hold my breath when I'm static, it's like 30 seconds and that's it. It's not. I just getting stressed, especially when you are in the pool and somebody is swimming close and wave is hitting you. You just lose your temper. How to overcome that?
Static. So, like for the people who don't know, static is like in Alice's film, laying on the surface, literally just holding your breath for as long as you can. There's nothing to distract you. He mentioned dynamic. That's what we call swimming for distance in a pool. With that, you're a lot more focused on technique and you know the way you're moving. You've got a lot more to distract you. The contractions are still going to come; they're a fact of life. But static is like there's nothing else to think of. So, what made me go from sort of a 4.5 minute breath hold up to 7.5? You know, quite a fairly short training period was working on the mental game. It's because it's all mental. Learning, I don't think my fitness changed huge amounts, but the mental game. When I started to train a type of yoga called Yoga Nidra, which is about learning how to relax and close off parts of your body. And that's what really helped me make really big gains. In a few months, I went from 4.5-ish to hitting 7.5 minutes whenever I wanted. So it's a mental game, static. Yeah, you picked a hard one. But I love it. You know, I was never the most amazing pool diver. I was okay, but static, I loved it. The challenge of it. It's like meditating. I still find it probably, yeah, I love going deep, of course, but static is really fascinating. Just laying still, holding your breath, and it's just you and this. So yeah, you've got to work on the mental game, I think. But there's a lot of people coaching now. Some good, some not so good. Find someone who's been recommended. But if you get a good static coach, they'll write you a program, and yeah, you'll get it. Yeah.
Could I put my words like just as an instructor, not as a presenter here tonight? One thing that's worth remembering, and this is something that Alice touched on earlier, is that sometimes when people are, let's say, triggered by a certain thing. And one thing that we haven't touched on tonight is a bit technical, but there are certain triggers in freediving. One of them is water on the face, which can give you a very profound, powerful feeling, but it can also give you a negative reaction as well. And if you keep pushing yourself to a kind of traumatic point on that, even if to you it doesn't feel like a very long amount of time, like 30 seconds, you're repeating yourself in a traumatic situation. So you end up on this hamster wheel of not kind of breaking through that as you want to. Whereas if you try and put yourself in a more enjoyable situation and reminding yourself that you like being there and you enjoy it, you might find that you gently start chiseling away at that barrier. And the skills that you've developed in dry on your bed, where you can hold your breath for a long time, start to translate into the water as well. So I would put that in your mind when you're going to the water.
We have one from the live feed. We do.
I can just talk loudly if you need me.
Hello there. So one question from the Instagram from Sophie_East is, for someone who has never freedived before and isn't the most comfortable in the water, but wants to get more comfortable, is freediving a good way to start?
Yes. I think freediving is good for everyone, especially if you're scared. But obviously there's things you can do that would help for before when you come on a course. So just like going swimming, exposing yourself to being in water. If you can go in the sea, snorkeling. But I think even if it's something that scares you, that's probably even a better reason to do it, because you'll probably get more from it. As an instructor, like I've had people come and do the course for all different reasons, and sometimes people come and you say, what do you want to get from it, and they're petrified, and yeah, sometimes that's the most rewarding for me and for people. They to see people overcome that, and then I think that transfers to life, helping through everything. So I forgot what the question was, but I just think everyone should freedive.
What I just wanted to say is when you first do your first freediving course, you learn a different way to breathe. And the onus is also on learning to relax more. And I always use the analogy when I'm talking with people that relaxation is like an onion. You think you've got to the core of it and you are as relaxed as you can possibly be. And then 3 weeks later, you're there going, this is amazing. And you suddenly drop down into a different layer and you're like, wow, I really wasn't relaxed before. This is totally different. So that relaxation will help build the confidence as well. Just nipping back to your question about the asthma as well, learning to relax more as well will help with the asthma as well. But yeah, giving yourself, learning good breathing techniques and really learning how to feel when your body is properly relaxed will help and give you confidence in the water, which then translates very nicely to the rest of your life.
I'd say, just to add on to that, if you are nervous in the water, then you probably want to choose your instructor very carefully and choose the scenario, the environment that you're going to be learning in. If it's a big group and there's lots of other people, then you're going to feel a little bit of extra pressure. Or if you're, everyone that's an instructor has gone through a process of training, but obviously in terms of personalities, there's people who are going to be more empathic than others. So it might be good to speak to the instructor first and see if you have like a good feeling with that person, so that can help to make that process a little bit more nourishing and nurturing.
And maybe I don't know why this person has fear around freediving, because if that's coming from some really horrific incident around water, freediving can do incredible things. I'm an instructor, but I'm not a psychologist. I want to help people, but some things, once in my career, I've had someone who's like, this is actually out of my remit. I don't know if I'm going to do more harm than good. So like, while it can fix like traumas, I wouldn't think that it's going to fix your trauma if you have some, but it can, definitely can. Yeah.
Hello. Hi everyone. And thank you as well for setting this up. I wanted to extend the question on the condition, but not necessarily a physical one, but maybe a more mental one. And I was curious about your thought on having people with not extreme but different kind of mental health disorder, and if you can tell them to the water, specifically people with neurodivergent condition or else, and if you maybe just wanted to have your take on that, and yeah, thank you.
I guess I kind of touched on that a little bit, didn't I? Like people with, like I say, I want to help everyone, but I'm not, I might not know how to. Freediving definitely has the power to fix, but it might not be the right fix for that person. But it might be, but it might not be. I'm just talking in circles.
Yeah, just to add to that, I'll shout it out, but like, it's about context as well. So it's about context. So first of all, we're nice people, freediving instructors generally, and they're very happy to talk to you. So like, literally pick up the phone and like have a conversation and see like what your vibe is with them. And secondly, it may not be right for you if you're working through something to go on a course with 12 other people and freediving instructor and assistants and things like that. Maybe you need to find a context where you can have a bit more instructor attention and things like that. So find an instructor who can do that with you is a kind of much better way of progressing forward than throwing yourself into a large course with like confident swimmers, people that have been, you know, reading about freediving for a long time. I think that is something to think about for sure.
Hiya. Here. Thanks so much for sharing your inspiring stories. Really incredible, amazing. And thank you, Freediving London, for organizing such an event. Speaking of Freediving London and our own deep journeys, I was wondering what advice you have for all of us deep on our own deep journeys, but based in London, and the challenges that brings by not having a deep pool, only having a certain amount of access to regular swimming pools, many of them don't even allowing freediving, and obviously limited time to go and practice deep freediving.
Don't give up. And have good holidays in warm places with deep water. But there's a lot, like, I mean, depth is amazing and to have access to depth, but we don't all have that. But don't discount what you can achieve in a pool that will transfer to being able to be good at depth. Or even out of a pool. Like, you don't have to be going, I think this is right, Gary, you don't have to go deep all of the time, and you can't go deep all of the time, but there's so many different elements that you have to work on that I guess it's like being patient, and then when you do have those opportunities, like say if it's a holiday or whatever, like taking advantage of things like coaching and people's knowledge to make the most of the time when you've got that, but going there prepared. Like so many people, they're just booked to go and do depth, but it's just all of the stuff that you can do beforehand in the pool, in the gym, to make the most of that. And I've lost the question again. But
Don't see the fact that you're landlocked as a hindrance, right? See it as it's going to give you supreme focus for when you do get out there. Yeah, I started in 2006. It took me until 2014 to decide, right, I want to throw everything into it. That's when I moved to Indo. And all those years I was in London, swimming in pools like this, Wednesday nights, Thursday nights, coming home at 10 at night, you know. And I never saw it as a hindrance. So use it to make you focus more and identify what the areas that you need to work on and focus on those. Use the pool to keep you fit, to keep your technique up, and then focus on if it's equalization. You know, don't see it as a hindrance. Yeah, because there's plenty of people. I live in Dahab. There's plenty of people I see that come out, they quit their job or take 6 months sabbatical, and they burn out. They absolutely burn out, and after a month of begging them to take a day off, they overtrain and their nervous system crashes, and it's just a waste of time. Whereas the people I see who progress better are the people who have less time. They come out and they do 2 weeks and then they go back to London. Yeah. So don't see it as a hindrance, mate. Yeah. Use it as focus.
And I'm going to take that opportunity also to plug the other partner companies that we work with. So yeah, Freediving London, obviously we're in London. The deepest pools we have 5 meters. Apart from that, my advice, Freediving London is sort of here to begin the journeys, also help the pool training. And then we have some beautiful schools around the world as well, with warm, lovely water and incredible conditions. I mean, and UK. Cornwall,
Really warm.
super warm in Cornwall. Menorca, Freedive Menorca, Freedive Ibiza, Gary out under Hab, and our other partner company, Freediving Seychelles. So learn, if you're new to freediving, learn the basics here, have the understanding, because sometimes going away to spending lots of money and going abroad to do your first course and maybe then it's not for you, can be a waste of money. But if you learn the starts here, and you can really enjoy the lovely tropical weathers of Cornwall. I think we have time for maybe 1 or 2 more questions. So yes.
Hi guys, this is a question for all of you. Do you have any advice on how to strengthen your lungs outside of water? And the reason why I'm asking this is because with my clients, I do a lot of breathing, healing work, but we never do any breathing from inhaling through the mouth. So with that being a habit that I do for clients and for myself, when I've gone in the ocean, I found it quite like a bit of a difference going from all in the nose to, so I'm just trying to think, is there anything that we can do to help on the outside for the pool, if that makes sense, for the water?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'm not. Like, are you medical? Are you?
I'm masseuse healer.
Masseuse healer, right? Okay. The question is like, why do you want super strong breathing muscles? For me personally, that's never really been a thing. Why you want to be able to aggressively inhale? You know, I've never trained my lungs the way I train my bicep or my legs. It's just, you know, you can buy these resistance devices. I've never really seen the point. The science is pretty ambiguous about it. So it's not like it's a given that everyone needs strong lungs. You know, this is assuming you're not a doctor working with lung injured patients. That might be different, but I'm not a doctor. So I don't think you need to worry about strengthening. You know, I think you need to worry more about getting the mind and body connection, learning how to take a proper inhale. That's why you feel weird in the water, because or maybe people you're working with probably don't know how to isolate different parts of their respiratory system. So learning how to like really properly tune in and take proper inhalations.
Yeah, I think it was more because we used to swim quite a lot together.
Yeah.
We felt that we could be underwater for a long time. And then because of my work and not swimming for years, the breathing's changed a lot. It's changed, you know, it's all in here now. So it just felt strange going into the water and holding it by breathing in through the mouth. It was like a bit of a difference. So does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you. Yeah.
I'm ready. I totally get where you're coming from. There are very few people who I work with as a breathing trainer to whom I give diaphragm strengthening exercises. So they are the people who have things like COPD, or they've had COVID and it has affected the use of their diaphragms. Everyone else doesn't really need that, and as Gary was saying, you can get these inhalers, and quite frankly, they just encourage hyperventilation. we're all about the nose. Everyone, just very quickly, you should be breathing through your nose almost the entire time. And I'm quite brutal about that with my clients, to the fact that when they're, for example, running, you should be training to be up at anything below 93% of your max heart rate. You can train to be breathing through your nose on it. That's quite brutal. It's possible, and my God, it will make a difference to your health, your running, your focus, your performance across the board. So when I go in the water, not having freedive for a while, and I suddenly have to be breathing through my mouth the whole time because I've got a mask on, I'm very susceptible to how that feels like hyperventilation for me, because my breathing is suddenly bigger volume as a result. And before going into a free dive, when we're doing our resting phase and being as calm as possible, lowering our heart rates as much as possible, I'm certainly trying to breathe as quietly and naturally as possible, which means there's very little air going in and out, and to the point where I put my nose clip on 20 seconds before I start my dive. Most people are doing it 2 minutes before. I really like breathing through my nose. It feels very natural and very healthy. So I get that, and I also just have to get over it, unfortunately. I think what's useful is when I have spent a lot of time in the water wearing a mask and I feel like I'm beginning to lose slight control over my breathing, I then go into, for example, a 4-6 through my nose, really calmly, maybe add some humming in, just to bring the body back into the way that we're used to. It's like when you do any exercise. We do stretching afterwards. We should be doing stretching afterwards. We should also actually be cooling down our lungs, and our body is going to repair much faster if we take it out of sympathetic response, put it back into, take it out of parasympathetic response and take it out of fight or flight and put it back into recovery, parasympathetic, our muscles will repair much faster and we will actually be able to exercise again sooner. We get the benefits faster and we can exercise again sooner. So do some whatever you call relaxed breathing to bring your body back down, to calm you down, and to get rid of that uncomfortable sensation of breathing through your mouth too much, which I'm really happy to hear that you have.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I didn't want to say at the beginning that, I don't do through the mouth because of blah, 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 but yeah, absolutely never through the mouth for work, meditation, no way. But yeah, it makes sense because I think now I don't need to ask myself that question, do I need to strengthen the lungs? No, you're saying it's all about the relaxation. Yeah.
Everything has a balance. Okay. You get excited, you take activity, you then calm it down afterwards. We're in fight or flight so much of our time these days, not just from exercise, but from our mobile phones, from flashing lights, from this, that, and the other. We are chronically overstimulated anyway. We need to be spending more time doing this, especially after we've taken exercise.
So guys, thank you very much. Last of all, would like to say a massive thank you again to our incredible guests. Honestly, you're all amazing, and it was really inspiring hearing your stories, your journeys, and seeing those films. Thank you very much. Also, massive thank you to my colleagues, Adam, Hibba and Alison, who can't be here as well, and Andy, the videographer. Thank you to London Aquatics Centre for allowing us to host.